Okay, we have been busy with the garden. As you can see here, we have the irrigation system up, and you can see what I've been using the 2x4s with is we have the 2x4s in the ground and then using them to like bridge the gap for the tubing. So the tubing is pretty much level throughout here. We attached all this stuff yesterday. We tested it, and for the most part, it's working good. Except for the Hunter is having to do some micromanaging over there, because that's what she does. And so we tested it. It works. We're gonna have to get a couple more pieces from Drip Depot, but other than that, it's good to go. So it still saved my timer from last year. We have two different zones, obviously. We got zone 1, which are these 6 rows, and then zone 2 are these 6 rows here. And so we have we're in the process of burying the lines now. The lines I want in the ground just enough so when I mow this area, I am not going to be afraid of hitting the lines. So that's how far down they go. So I don't care about them, you know, as far as freeze or anything like that. I just want them in the ground so when I run over it with the lawnmower, I'm not breaking the line. And so we've done that. We've also, this morning, we buried the onions. So the onions are now in straw. The onions have been coming up really good. So the only thing that's not in straw now are the carrots and the beets. The beets, as you can see here, the beets are coming up nicely because you can see them there. Let me zoom in a little more. And so, there we go. And so the beets are coming up nicely. They're actually coming up a lot faster than they did last year. Last year was like 3 to 4 weeks before we actually saw anything. And for a while there, I didn't think the beets were going to come up at all. But they obviously did. And so that's what we're doing. We had the potatoes right here. Our other potatoes came yesterday. They're going to be going at the end of the row. We ordered some Yukon Golds. And so they're in our bathroom right now. So we're trying to get eyes on them so they can start sprouting. And then we're going to put them out here. And then we're waiting with the potatoes. We're going to let these potatoes come up. And then once they're up about 6 inches, 8 inches or so, and then we're going to take on the right side here and mound over again. So we'll have a good, I would say, from where the actual potato was in the ground, probably a good 8 inches, maybe 10 inches up until the top of the dirt. As soon as we get the other potatoes in, we're going to get the last drip line in, which is going to go right there. And then we're going to put it on top, and then we're actually going to bury the drip line. So when we do our final mound over, the drip line will actually be buried. You can bury these drip lines, so that is something you can do. We just, on crops like this, we just keep them at the surface. But with the potatoes, since we have to keep mounding over them, and they're going to need water on them sooner than later, we'll just go ahead and just bury the line. And it's just one line, so it doesn't really matter. So that's that. And I also wanted to show the irrigation system. We are not hooking up, at least as of now, we are not hooking up the fertilizer tanks. So it's just going to be just straight water coming through. And so there's the 2 lines right there. The pieces, this piece right here, we have to get a new one. And these fittings, we have to get new ones, because when we turned the system on yesterday, they were both leaking pretty bad. So that's what we're going to get for there. Then obviously this is going to get buried, and so we're going to do some of that. And then Andrea's starting to do the strawing right now, because she's probably impatient and I'm probably yakking too much. So all we're going to do, I want to have some buffer between where I'm mowing and the edge of the garden, which that worked out fairly good last year, except for the fact when it got to like late August, our lawnmower broke in July, and so it took about a month to get it fixed. It was a long story. And in that time, a lot of the weeds from the ground here invaded, and so we ended up getting weeds into the garden by the end of the year. But it was the end of the year by then, so I really didn't care. So anyway, done rambling. Just want to get a quick update on the garden, showing that we are actually proceeding. And then other thing is, we're going to take the other frame of our original greenhouse, which is right there. We're going to move it back over to here, and we're going to put a shade cloth on it. And once it gets warmer, that's where Andrea's turmeric is going to go for the summer, because the turmeric doesn't need to be in the greenhouse. So we're going to get it out of the greenhouse and get it over there, because the turmeric can be outside. It just, in our environment, it just needs to be in the shade. So that's what the shade cloth is for. But it needs to be a little warmer before we can actually do that. But we can move this thing in the meantime, because I'm going to need to start mowing here in the next week or so. And then the greenhouse, at least for a decent amount of the summer, that's where the garlic is going to be curing. And this situation should be a lot better than it was last year, hopefully. So anyway, that's it. Actually, it's not it. The reason we got this little contraption here is that they said that the irrigation system head needs to be in shade. And we obviously don't have anything to produce shade, so that's why we got this. So it can be in shade instead of in direct sun. And it worked last year, so I'm not going to complain. So anyway, that's it. As the kids would say, for reals this time, or my sister, one of the two. So until we get another update, or until Andrea gets an update on her onions, which she did a video on that earlier. So see everybody later. Okay, just a little update. This is everything that we did yesterday. So I buried that all the way to there. So that's the main line pipe. Then the main line pipe comes up here. Then of course it goes across my little redneck bridge area. And then we strawed all of this. And we got all the way over to where the second line starts, because I buried that much yesterday just so then we could be able to straw on top of it. And then got all the way to here. And then my back started hurting, and then we stopped. And so what I'm getting ready to do now is I'm going to hula hoe all of this, and then we're going to put straw in all the way over to this area here, leaving the potato area as is until the potatoes come up. And so we have the other potatoes inside, trying to get the eyes to grow. And then we also have some refrigerator onions that we grew last year that we kind of forgot about in the refrigerator, and they started sprouting. So Andre is getting ready to have those come out here. So all the way at the end, down there is where the other onions are going to go. That's why the end of that onion row is not covered in straw. Then, as you can see, the irrigation system ran this morning, and so there it is right there. I have the irrigation system run for 30 minutes on each zone every other day. So like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is going to be zone 1, which is this section here, which are these 3 rows plus 3 rows of the garlic. And then Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday are going to be these 6 rows, which are the 3 corn rows and these 3 garlic rows. And then Sunday is going to be the day off, and then we just rinse and repeat. So that's what we did last year, and it worked out very well. And so that's what we're going to do this year. And then it might be raining today, so I'm going to shut up now, do this, and then come back when I got it done. And for those of you that don't know what a hula hoe is, I wanted to show it real quick. This is a hula hoe right here. And so what this does, let me see if I can actually do it with one hand, is you come in and you scrape the ground like this, and it gets the weeds and everything off. So as you can see, it takes the weeds and it pretty much deroots them. And obviously bigger weed clumps or more ingrained ones will be worse, but yeah, that's a little difficult because I'm trying to do this with one hand, and normally you do it with 2. But I just wanted to show what the actual hula hoe was and what it does. And so you just come in here and you just do that. And so it's a very effective way to be able to do weeding. So that's pretty much what I did, and it took I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes to do all this. Now granted, the weeds that were in here were not like that. It was more like sporadic like that, but very effective for doing the weeds. And so last year, it's March 24th right now. Last year we did not start putting the straw on until the middle of April, because I went back to the videos from last year to figure out what the timeline was. And by the time the middle of April came about, the weeds, especially in between the rows, which I hula hoed, but even where all the garlic and the onions and everything was probably thicker than this. And so last year was kind of our learning year. So we learned a lot last year, because we basically my aunt gave me all of these garlic cloves, and we just kind of made a bed former on the tractor and just kind of planted them. And then we realized that, oh, we should probably irrigate it. So what's a good way to do irrigation? So we had to research and do all that. Then it's like, yeah, the weeds are killing us. How are we going to deal with the weeds? And then we figured out that with the straw. And so this year, we've had Actually, the weeding that I've done here has been the most amount of weeding we've had to do all winter season and to date. And the straw, as long as the straw stays over the bare ground where the bare ground's not exposed, we had very little, if any, weeds last year. The straw is very effective with that. So anyway, I just wanted to show the hula hoe before I just strawed her up. And with wind gusts of 25 miles an hour or more, I am done with the straw. So I just wanted to show you our little weather thing in action here. Alright, so here's the rest of it. So I know, real sexy work. At least the strawing is done. Good thing about straw, or I should say, this is wheat straw. Wheat straw is very good resisting wind once it's down, because we've had wind gusts over 25 miles an hour today, and as you can tell, this is perfectly fine. If this was pine straw, it would be all blown all over the place by now. So just wanted to show that. We might or might not be getting rain later, but at least the garlic has nice dark green on it, so that's good. So we are done with this for now, waiting on the rain to see if it's going to happen. And let me zoom in, see if I can show you this. Alright, I don't know if you can really, if you could really see it or not, but the wind's blowing so bad. The farmer tilled all this, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago, I can't remember now. But in the springtime we get a lot of wind like this, and while the fields are all still not populated with either crops or weeds or something, then it just blows this dirt all over the place. Unfortunately, most of our wind is coming, comes from the south and the west, and that direction just happens to be southwest, so sometimes it's like we're in a dust bowl type situation. But anyway, that is done for the strawing. So next up is we're probably going to be fixing all the holes that I dug, digging up tree stumps, because Andrea's mother is going to be coming back, I think it's a week from today. So we got one more week and then she's back from Arizona. So anyway, I think I'm done. So hopefully no more strawing for a while.